Abraham, it's a delight. Thank you. You've touched on the Christ experience a few times, or the teachings of Christ. And I have a question, I guess, regarding the Course of Miracles that's come out. It was kind of dictated, the idea being that it was received much the same way that you are coming through Esther. And yet the teachings there seem to be quite different, from your teachings.
It's annoying, isn't it?
It is, and I don't understand why that would be the case.
Esther said, if you guys can't get your story straight, then I'm not going to play. Because it was irritating that different people who were receiving from what seemed to be non-physical were not in agreement. And we said to Esther, first, if there were only one questioner from one questioning vantage point, then one teacher would be appropriate. But since you are all in different places, it's sort of like what we were saying to our friend earlier. If you are vibrating in this place of pure positive energy, and you have a student who's vibrating in despair, that student cannot hear you and you cannot relate. In other words, something else is necessary for the process to unfold. And so there are as many different teachers really as there are students asking. That which is source is always offering the knowing. Now, let's think about what we've been talking about already here. So you get it, that you start out as source energy, and that in your physical form you become more, and that the non-physical part of you becomes the more all along. And the whole quest for your human experience is to do your best to close that gap and keep up with what life has caused you to become. And the more you are doing that, and the better job you're doing of that, the more satisfied and delicious you feel in your life experience. So you are in this process of constant becoming. And so that non-physical energy, what man wants to call God, is constantly expanding because of what leading edge creators like you are causing it to become. So as this expansion is occurring, feel this vortex that is summoning all to that which it has become. So you could say, if you're looking at the mass consciousness of becoming, that this energy that we could call the culmination of your inner being or your inner selves, that source energy who has become what it is as a result of all that you all are, is calling you constantly. In other words, that grace that we talked about earlier, that pure positive energy that is being flooded, when you ask, it is given, it is given, it is given, it is given, it is given. And to the degree that you will allow it, you let it in. We talked to a man who had to let a tree crush his car in order to allow something he wanted. And so there are lots of different religions and teachers that fall into those categories, you see. We are not the ending of the teachers. We are just a leading edge teacher in this time, doing a good job of answering that which your leading edge time is causing you to ask here and now. We are the same energy that is expressing to you in this time as that Christ consciousness that was expressing in that time. But that energy has expanded massively since then as a result of all that you have lived, you see. And so there is always the answer coming forth, but it is being interpreted through the path of least resistance all along the way. And that's why it varies in tone and texture. What we would most like is that humans could come to the place where they could applaud differences, where they could not just accept it, but lovingly devour and encourage the variety that is the basis of all of our becoming. It is so wrong-headed and short-sighted to be so arrogant as to believe, I have the final answer, and if you don't agree with me, then you are wrong. Because no expansion can come from that attitude. Only in understanding that you are eternal, that we all are, and that life will constantly cause us to become more, and a willingness to allow ourselves in this moment where all of our power is, to become more. In other words, right now in this moment, in your human expression of life, is where the junction of who you really are and who you're being in this moment are coming together. And to the degree that you are willing to tune or tone the vibration of your being to match the whole of that which you are, then you have full insight. Then you get to see the world through the eyes of Source. And when you look at the world through the eyes of Source, all religions look good to you. It is only when you look through disconnected eyes that you begin quibbling over which one is more right than the other, you see.
Thank you very much. Thank you.